Hiya Dave, always great to meet up with you and do a little bit of work on your game. Just a quick recap on the key point that we covered, really relating to you thinning the golf ball initially. A lot of good things going on in the swing, much improved on where we used to be. I actually found a little bit of footage on YouTube from 2009. Little Dave Ianson, pre-stack and tilt. I'll have a little bit of fun with that later in the week and maybe do a comparison from where you were then to where you are now. Much improved in the backswing, so we don't really need to look at that too much. What I also like now is this creation of axis tilt, which we didn't used to get. We used to get very much out in front of it with the upper centre. Accumulator 1 would run out very quick, the right arm would straighten very quick, the right wrist would uncock very fast, and the overtaking rate would be very high. Still got sort of signs of that. Hopefully you can hear me alright. I'm just in the studio and the wind's blowing a little bit at the minute. But nowhere near as much as it used to be. The reason we're catching a lot of shots thin related to what the left knee was doing. What we were doing with the short iron is we were straightening the left knee very quick, from sort of P6 to P8. As we were doing that, the club was getting catapulted through quite fast as well. Almost as you were pushing up, you were having to flatten out the right wrist just to widen the circumference of the swing and reach the golf ball. So as a result, we weren't getting much compression on the golf ball, club coming out the ground too fast, not hitting it with enough negative loft for a short to mid iron. So what we're doing here is just hitting some short swings, trying to feel like we keep some flex in the lead leg through the hitting area. We discussed the difference between what we should be doing with driver and iron and the reasons for that throughout the session. So we'd want to see a left leg doing more what we see here when we're hitting driver. So we want that left leg to post up quicker to help bring the club out of its descent and out of the ground, if you will, improve the angle of ascent when we're hitting driver. But with an iron shot, we want to be hitting down on the golf ball more, so consequently we want to keep a little bit of flex in that left knee as we come into impact, a little bit like what we see here with Charlie Wee. Holding the flex in the left knee a little bit longer, not excessive. It does straighten, it just doesn't straighten as soon and as aggressively with an iron as it does with a driver. Whilst you were hitting these little punch shots, we were also trying to get you to pay attention to leading with the handle a little bit more, firming up the left wrist. Again, just allowing you to continue to hit out at the golf ball for a little bit longer rather than excessively. And that was the other thing we discussed during your session. When we looked on your driver, the direction of the swing was a little bit too much out to the right. One of the things I'd like to see you learn to hit is, on purpose, is that little pull shot when the wind's off the left, or learn to hit that nice little push cut that can be very helpful to you when you're playing likes of the 13th at Penwortham, or if you're on a links course and you've got strong wind blowing off the left hand side. The way you're trying to draw the ball at the minute is a little bit too much because of the excessive swing direction to the right. It's creating quite an impressive looking draw when you pull it off, but we want the cone to be a little bit tighter than that. We don't want the ball to be shaped as much, certainly not when you're swinging the club well. Certain days you might have more shape than others, but we don't want the swing directed too much to the right. So a little bit of work, hitting a few pulls, a few fades in practice, just to use a balancing act and just to realign that swing a little bit more in line rather than excessively out to the right. And then give some consideration to what the lead leg does and the effect that has on the angle of ascent. In other words, how quickly the club comes out of the ground. And I'll email you some images across that relate to that over the next 24 hours. Good luck with it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line. I look forward to watching things progress during 2014. Well done.